So, is that beer sickness a black swan event? Hello and welcome back to the Weekly Crypto Review. So, let's just go ahead and start looking at what we've got here. As always, if you think that the information I'm giving you is valuable, please like, subscribe, share. You can always go to cryptocurious.tv/support, and I have all of my crypto addresses there for you. But let's get right into things. This particular news story is this beer virus. I can't call it what everybody else is because YouTube will cause this to they're using it as an excuse to censor videos. So will the beer sickness is the beer sickness the black swan event that crushes cryptocurrency? I find it interesting that this particular article by NewsBTC is asking about crushing cryptocurrency. It very well might be the event that causes this next recession to happen. We're already into the longest bull market that the stock market has ever seen, which means we're at the end. Now, as I stated, a few weeks ago, the indicators said that recession's probably about a year from now, about a year away, next spring of 2021. But the definition of a black swan is an event that no one could foresee. And this particular illness absolutely meets the criteria of a black swan. Has all of the signs of a black swan event. Absolutely. As soon as it became recognized or thought of as a threat to public health and safety, immediately the stock market dropped. It had its biggest one-day loss ever. It's also had its third largest gain ever. This is what volatility looks like. This is what uncertainty looks like. This is what fear looks like. Now, I'm not so concerned about cryptocurrencies, at least not at this point. Yes, they did drop along with gold, silver, and the stock market all at the same time, and this actually makes a lot of sense. In times of uncertainty, especially at the beginning of uncertain times, people may liquidate whatever they have in order to get cash so that they know they can buy the things that they need. It's after they are more secure with where they stand physically. Do I have shelter? Do I have food? Can I take care of myself and my family? Once they are fairly certain that they have those things, then they start putting money back into the hedge assets, gold, silver, and most likely crypto, at least for those few people who really understand what crypto is and how it works. Okay? And it's interesting. I'm doing this a day later than normal. I got busy and distracted doing other things yesterday. Normally this comes out, I do this on a Friday morning and it comes out sometime during the day on Friday. This week I'm doing it on Saturday. So we're looking at it, but still, if you look at the 7-day values, we're mostly in the green. I mean, Tether, I don't pay attention to Tether. It really isn't worth looking at. It's supposed to be $1 and it's down by 0.1%. Okay. Monero, which is a cryptocurrency, a legitimate, privacy-oriented cryptocurrency, is down by almost 3%. Huobi token, which is it's like Binance token. It's an exchange token. Okay, I don't care about those. I'm looking at things like Bitcoin, which is up by almost little over 2.5% for the last week. Let's see here. Ethereum's up by 6.63. We've got a lot of stuff going up. EOS up by 1.75%. Okay, so we've got a lot of stuff going up, not a lot of stuff going down, and that's fine. I mean, if we continue looking down here, and I'm looking at the weekly because everybody else is looking at the daily, and let's go back here to the 24-hour. Yeah, over the last 24 hours, we see a lot of red down there, but as I've been saying, I'm in this for the long run. I am in this to make large amounts of money. I don't care that Bitcoin or any other coin goes up or down by a couple $1,000s today or tomorrow. I'm looking for Bitcoin to go up by 10, 20, 50 times what it is currently today. And so I'm looking at it the long term. And so the shortest time frame I typically look at is the weekly, the 7-day. And okay, so in the top 100, we've got what, 4, 5, 6, 7. As we get farther down, the lower 50%, there's more of them that are in the red over the last 7 days, but still far more green than red. The crypto market is doing well, okay? And in fact, if we look at, this is another website that does similar things, but it also will tell me what's from the all-time high, what's the change, okay? So we can look at and see, for example, Bitcoin is down by 55, it needs to go up by 55%. Litecoin needs to go up by 83 and 3/4% to reach its all-time high, okay, which was $373.02 per coin. This actually I find very useful for determining where are we at, what's going on. So we look at, for example, something that's doing really well, Chainlink. It's only got another less than 10%. If it goes up by another 10%, it's at its all-time high. Well, its all-time high is $4.97, and it's currently at $4.48. So it's nearly at its all-time high. We're seeing a lot of this going on in various altcoins, okay? So let's look at what's really going on. And here's the thing I wanted to point out. So we see, first off, let me explain what we're looking at. So we've got this yellow line, which is at roughly 10,500. This is that line of resistance I talked about Bitcoin was likely to bounce off of as resistance, and it has. We've got this blue line, which is at 11,500, which is the next point of resistance. Once it gets above the 10.5, I expect it'll bounce back and forth a little bit between these two until it gets above this blue line. Once it gets above 11.5, I don't expect we'll ever drop down below $10,000 a Bitcoin ever again. Now, let me show you what this red line here and this green line here, what these are moving averages. They're my bubble pop indicator. Okay, and this green line here is the 111-day moving average. So it's just a little bit more than the 100-day moving average. And what do we see? Well, we see that last week it dropped down to this 100-day, well, we'll call it 100-day moving average because that's basically what it is. It dropped down to this 100-day moving average and bounced back off, and this week it's been going up. Okay, we're currently in the red. It's dropped a little bit today, but we're still above this. This 100-day moving average became support. But let me show you this. If we look at Litecoin USD, what do we see? We see this 100-day average, 111-day average, becoming support. And last week it bounced off of it and started going back up again. BAT. Well, BAT dropped down just below it, but again, came right back up. You can see this 111-day, 100-day average is just a little bit above where it bounced off of. So it dropped a little bit lower, but it still acts as support. Okay, let's look at Cardano, ADA, same thing. Look at Civic. It's a little harder to see, but it's doing the same thing. It's riding along this. It didn't bounce up over. It just kind of rode up above. And so it's acting as support down here for Civic as well. And one more, just because. So here's Chainlink. Nowhere near it. Chainlink is the only one that's well above this 111-day moving average. But Chainlink has jumped up incredibly over the last 2-3 months, since the beginning of the year. So, unsurprisingly, it's well above this average, but of the cryptos that I follow, let's take a look at EOS. Again, right off this 111-day moving average, bounces right up, right off of it. Okay, let's take a look at NEO. And of course, NEO is also doing the same thing. I'm looking at USD prices. I'm not looking at a comparison to Bitcoin. I'm looking at their USD price. And they're bouncing off of this roughly 100-day moving average. This tells me that we've got enough support. The market is not in drastic decline. It's simply drawing back down to where it finds support, and that support is on that 100. In this case, it's a 111-day moving average, but really, it's the 100-day moving average is what it's finding support on. This is a good thing, and it's all of these are doing exactly the same thing that Bitcoin is if you're looking at the USD equivalent. Okay, if you look at the BTC, it probably is doing similar things. This one we're looking at again. Cardano, okay, it bounces off this 111-day moving average. I'm talking USD equivalent, not comparison to Bitcoin, because at this point we're more excited about the USD price than we are how does it compare to Bitcoin. When Bitcoin, certainly after the halving happens in May, and the price of Bitcoin starts to shoot up, taking all of those altcoins with it. As Bitcoin goes up, above $12, $14, $16, $18, $20,000, that's when we're going to start looking at how well are these altcoins performing in comparison to Bitcoin. Because, for example, let's go back to Chainlink, Chainlink at the USD, we're looking at 447 right now. What is it doing compared to Bitcoin? Well, it's doing much better. You can see how high it is compared to Bitcoin. It's at 50,000 satoshis at this point. Okay, whereas 2 months ago, let's see, what was it? This is January 6th, the beginning of the year. It was only at 23,000 satoshis. So it's about doubled in the last 3 months. We don't care so much. We know that Chainlink is doing well compared to Bitcoin, and that's great. We're not so worried about most of these others at this point because we know that they're still fairly depressed. So we're more interested in their USD price. As Bitcoin moves up and becomes worth more money, that's when we're going to start wanting to compare altcoins specifically to how are they doing against Bitcoin? Are they doing better or worse against Bitcoin? Which coins are doing best against Bitcoin? But that's not going to happen until the latter half of this year, beginning of next year, when Bitcoin is really starting to pump and people are starting to take notice of it. That's when we're going to start looking at the comparison of these other altcoins to Bitcoin. Right now, it's the USD price that we're looking at. And again, Bitcoin is the king. It's the one that's moving all of these other currencies. It's the one that's deciding, is the price going to go up or is the price going to go down? With the exception of Chainlink. Chainlink seems to be doing well no matter what Bitcoin does. And that's great because as someone who's invested in Chainlink, I'm happy to see that. Will it last? Well, that's the question. Will Chainlink continue to outperform Bitcoin over the long term? I certainly hope so. That was one of the expectations I had when I bought into Chainlink. But we don't know yet. That will only come over time. We'll only know that over time. But I wanted to show you how all of these currencies are bouncing off of this 111-day moving average. And it's not one, it's not two, it's not three, it's not a handful. It's most of them. Okay? It's amazing. And, like I said, some of them, this one happens to be Horizon. It's a little higher, but it's coming back down. I expect it to bounce off this 111-day moving average. Now, this is just a random coin that I picked. I don't own any Horizon at this point, but I at one point was looking at it, and so I started tracking it. Okay, let's take a look at something really bad, like Funfair. Bad in the terms that I bought it at a nickel coin. It's down under a penny a coin at this point. But again, it's bouncing off of this 111-day moving average. This is something that I have not seen before, where all of these coins, all of these altcoins, as well as Bitcoin, are making this move at the 111-day moving average. Never seen it before. It would be like looking at IBM and Tesla and Apple and all the FANGs. Well, not just all the FANG stocks, but Chrysler and automotive stocks and utility stocks all bouncing off the same moving average at the same time. That just doesn't happen. I don't know what this really means in the long run. What I do believe is that it's a good sign. I think it's a very bullish sign that nobody else seems to be talking about. I'm assuming that people use 100-day moving averages, and I assume that they are seeing this, but no one seems to have noticed that all of these cryptos are doing it at the same time. So it will be interesting to watch this move forward. I'm curious to see just what happens. I think, like I said, I think it's a very bullish sign, and I expect to see the prices climb even more from this point. Anyway, that's what I had for you this week. I saw something odd and interesting, and I just wanted to share it with you. So keep on hodling, and I'll see you next week.